Hello and welcome. It's Alfred again, and we're going to go ahead and do a video here for the Microsoft Office class again. And this one's going to be Microsoft Office Excel. So we're moving into the new app Excel, Excel Chapter 1. So I'm going to go ahead and open our book by going to the internet. I'm going to go to our book website, which is bookshelf.vitalsource.com. I'm going to turn on my mouse pointer highlighter for you. So bookshelf.vitalsource.com. Let me go ahead and press enter. I was in the book earlier today, so it might log me in, but it didn't. So I'm going to put in the email. Remember, just use the one that I supplied to you. Put in the password. Okay, so I'm going to now open the book. It might return me to any point in the book where I left off. So I'm going to use my table of contents, which I've left open here. I'm going to click Unit 3, Microsoft Excel, page 75. I'm going to go to Excel Chapter 1, Tracking Customer Data, and I'll go to the chapter opener. So in this particular lesson, let me move my picture out of the way briefly, close the table of contents here. The learning objectives, you'll learn how to enter data into a worksheet, navigate a worksheet, format your worksheet, apply number and date formats, enter a series of related data, print a worksheet, and adjust the view with Zoom tools. So that's all about what we're going to do here. I'm going to move forward a little bit into the book, and I'll start sizing my window appropriately so that when I open Excel in a moment, things will be lined up. So as a reminder, on a Windows machine, I can drag from the title bar off the side of a screen where I want to put the window. It snaps to half. Make it a little bit smaller. I'll make it about that small. That should work. Maybe I'll move my picture over here. So introducing Excel. Microsoft Excel is a very popular tool. So remember, this is all about me doing the first part of the chapter with you to develop your skills. And why do people like it? Because it's a worksheet program that allows you to work with numbers and data much more quickly and efficiently than with pen and paper. Some of the things Excel can do. So I don't read all this all the time. You'll be able to read more of it on your own. You'll be able to create a payment schedule, create sales reports, track invoices, even create small databases. So what is a worksheet? An Excel file is called a workbook. So the whole item that's saved is called a workbook, and it contains one or more worksheets, also called spreadsheets, that can be used for small tasks or to create large databases of information. Each worksheet is made up of rows and columns of individual cells. So a box like this is a cell. Going across like this, left and right, is called a row, and going up and down labeled with a letter is a column. So columns are labeled with letters like A, column B, rows, row 1, row 2, row 3. A cell is identified by its column letter row number. So A1 is this cell that has the green box around it. If I go to this particular cell that I point to here, it's B3. So I always start with the column letter. They're showing you at the bottom of a workbook, you can have many sheets. In this particular case, sheet 1 is the name of the sheet. We learn about sheet management in a later chapter. So an individual square is called a cell. Cell ranges. For many tasks, you'll want to learn to select a group of cells instead of a single cell. A group of cells is referred to as a range. A range is identified by the first and last cell separated by a colon. The cells in a range are adjacent, meaning side by side. But you can also choose to select two or more non-adjacent ranges. So here's an adjacent range. This one happens to be A1 to A4. Here's a different range, A2 to B4. They're all adjacent. And this one has A1 to C1 highlighted and A3 to C3. That's non-adjacent because we're skipping the row 2 stuff. So cell selection and the mouse pointer. One of the challenges for new Excel users is getting used to the different mouse functions. The shape of the mouse pointer changes as you point to different parts of the Excel window. So pay close attention to the shape of the pointer to ensure you're performing the intended action. So your mouse may have this thick crosshair. That's the normal select. If it has this four-headed arrow, that's to move. That's the same as drag and drop. This eye-looking icon is the I-beam. That's usually when you're in edit mode. So you can type. This little thin black plus is in the lower right corner of a cell. It's used to drag, it's called the fill handle, to fill adjacent cells with a series of numbers, dates, or formulas, or it can be used to copy. And when you get single black arrows, those are either row or column selectors. I'm going to start moving into the other part of the chapter here, entering and editing data. Data is easily entered into Excel by selecting a cell and typing. If the cell already contains data, you can double-click the cell to edit it or to replace the existing data. Just start typing, no need to delete it first. Text is used for headings or descriptive data, and numbers can either be typed into the cell or calculated with a formula. The important part here is completing cell entries. After typing or editing cell data in a cell, you need to complete the cell entry before you can continue. The method you use to complete the entry will determine which cell becomes active next. Excel is in ready mode when a cell is selected, and enter mode is when data is being inserted. The difference between enter and ready modes is that many Excel features are unavailable when you're entering or typing text. So in other words, you don't have a cursor very often. Tapping enter or tab or any of the arrow keys will complete the entry as shown in the table below. So when you press the enter key, moves down one cell. If you press the tab key, moves one cell to the right. The arrow keys move to the next cell in the direction the arrow points. The X here cancels whatever you were starting to type, which means I don't want it. The check mark means keep what I was typing. You're going to find that in Excel. It's up here just above where all your typing is. Okay? So I'm going to go down and do develop your skills E1, D1. It says start Excel and click the blank workbook template. So that's steps 1 and 2. So I'm going to click start in the bottom left, scroll down to the letter E's and click Excel. I'm going to size my window over here first, drag it off the left in this case, click blank document. I'm going to do what I normally do when I do these tutorials is I'm going to zoom in. I also just do it a lot in my own because I want to see things bigger to help my eyes. Okay. So as you can see, we have tabs for our ribbon. We have some different group names. We have some different tab names, but it basically works out the same. So I'm going to do step number 3, save my workbook into the Excel Chapter 1 folder with the name E1D1 Invoices. So as usual, it's File, Save. I'm going to do Browse, and I'm going to make my way, many of you, your folders in your Documents folder. I'm in Documents also, but I have a couple of other folders before I get there. So I'm going to double-click this one, double-click my Microsoft Office, and then here's mine finally, Alfred's Office 2019 files. Now I double-click Excel, Chapter 1. I go down to where it says Book 1 and click to type in the file name, E1-D1-Invoices. And then I can click Save. Okay, so now, step number 4, type Airspace Travel Company in square A1. So you know what square you're in because it has this green box. So I can just type Airspace Travel Company. And it says to press enter when I'm done. That's called completing the entry. What they were saying earlier in the book is, see how I have a cursor? I don't have many commands here. That's because I'm in edit mode. When I press enter and confirm the entry, I'm now in what's called ready mode. Okay. You'll notice enter moved me down one row. Step number 4. They have 2 number 4s in a row there. Isn't that interesting? So they have a little typo there. I'm supposed to type monthly customer invoices in square A2. So monthly customer invoices. And it does say to press enter. So far we've used enter to move down one column while entering data. Now we're going to use the tab key. So we're going to follow this very carefully. Step number 5 says type first name, press tab. Now we're in cell B3. It says type last name. This is step number 6. Press tab. The first name text in cell A3 is no longer fully visible because it's wider than column A. See how this little E is getting cut off slightly? That's okay. We're going to widen columns later. Long entries are cut off like this when the cell to the right contains data. So as we start to fill in, some of these data will be cut off slightly. Don't worry about it. Okay. So I'm going to continue doing the rest of the steps here. Step number 7 says type provider in cell C3. Press tab. Now in step 8, type destination. That's in cell D3. I press tab. That puts me in E3 to type the number symbol of guests. And then it says, but this time click the enter button on the formula bar to complete the entry. So on the formula bar here, you have two buttons. Cancel means don't accept what I'm typing. Check mark means keep what I'm typing and stay in the same square that I just typed in. That's all it means. Everybody seems to get utterly confused by that. All it means is when I click it, stay where you are, but keep what I've typed. Okay. Step 11 says save my changes. Now we're going to navigate around our worksheet. Navigating around your worksheet quickly is an important skill to master. The following table lists some useful keystrokes for changing the active cell. So I'm just, and you can also use what's called the name box. That's this box here where it says E3, at least in my case right now. You can use the arrow keys, moves one cell up, down, left, right, in whatever direction they point. Home goes to the beginning of column A of whatever row you're in. Control home is one of my most important and favorite ones. It always gets you back to square A1. Control N goes to the end of the data. Page down goes down a screen jump. Page up goes up a screen jump. Alt page down moves one screen to the right. Alt page up goes one screen to the left, and Control G is the go-to box. Using AutoComplete to enter data, this is a really cool part about Excel, is when you input data, consistency is important, but as you enter your data, if it sees something in the column you've already typed, it will suggest it. That's where it gets really cool. That's called AutoComplete. So as I mentioned, I'm not going to read all this. You can read it a little bit more on your own. I'll discuss it a little bit as we go along. They talk a tiny bit about sorting, which means what order do you want it in. Filtering means that you can extract data. So it's really important your data gets in there correctly. You don't want typos and all that kind of stuff. So AutoComplete will make suggestions while you type in the column. It doesn't do it with numbers. It's basically more text-based. So if you type in the name of a company or a job title or position or a destination, once you press one letter, if it's already been typed in the same one, you can press tab to move forward or enter, whatever. You confirm the entry. It's really awesome. I love it. So rearranging data in Excel, you can use the move or copy content in Excel. You can use tools in the clipboard group. So you can do your cut and paste, copy and paste. You can also do what's called drag and drop. So we're going to practice some of that in just a little bit. Do note that when you paste in Excel, there's many paste options. You'll get an icon where you can paste many different ways. To quickly move data, you can also point to the border of the selected cell or range. That's what we call drag and drop. They're showing you an example here. When you point to the green line around the cell and you see the four-headed arrow, you can move it. If you hold the control key while you point to the edge, you're going to get this plus sign, which means you'll copy it. Okay. I'm going to go down here to develop your skills E1, D2. I'm not going to do the save as. I did this in the Word chapters as well. They have you do way too many save as's where we don't really need to do it. It doesn't help us any. I'll always direct you, at least in the develop your skills exercises, when it's important to do the save as's. When you're doing the review exercises, always do the save as's. Just follow their instructions as easiest. Okay, so step number 2 says press home followed by the down arrow key to move the active cell to cell A4. So I'm going to press home. See how it went back to A3? Then the down arrow gets me to A4. Step number 3 says enter this data for Eric Snow in row 4 and press tab to complete the entry in each cell. So you can see the data right here, Eric Snow. So I'm going to type in Eric, tab, snow, tab, sun, wind, Jamaica, and number of guests. Oh, they didn't have me. Step 4. Type 2 in cell. So now I'm on step 4. Type the number 2 in cell E4 and press enter. Watch how it magically guessed that I wanted to go back to A5. Isn't that really cool? If it doesn't do that to you, don't worry about it significantly why it didn't do it. Just click in square A5 if you have to. Step 5 here says type Allison in square A5. Press tab, Labosco in B5. And then only the letter S in square C5. See how it's already suggesting sun wind? Well, if sun wind is what we want, which it is, we're going to do step 6. Press tab. It magically put in sun wind for me. Isn't that way cool to speed up my typing? So as you type the data, use tab to accept the autocomplete, or you can also use enter for the provider and destination columns when possible. The goal is to enter the data quickly and efficiently. Press enter at the end of the line. So we're now entering in all this data starting with the word Mexico. That's why they have an arrow there. I think if I click this, it zooms it in. No. If I click this, it zooms it in a little bit. I can see it a little bit better now. So I'm going to go back to my sheet and I'm going to finish doing this typing. So give me just a moment to finish the typing. Go into Mexico, 2, I press enter. Now I'm on Lacey, tab, Heinrich, tab, true, blue. Go into Dominican Republic. And here's what they were reminding you of. Dominican Republic's in one square, and I press tab. It looks like I'm going to remove the word Republic, but I'm not. I type the number 4, I press enter. The whole wording Dominican Republic is under here. Don't worry. It's okay. We're going to widen columns later. So I'm just doing the rest of the typing, doing my tab key as needed. Oh, whoops. Jet is not counting. Going to Cuba. That's 3 people. Now I'm on Nikki. So here's going to be an auto suggest one, I think. Sunwind again. Mexico, that's an autocomplete. There we go. So as your data starts to fill in, you're going to get even more correct options. And if the autocorrect option isn't what you want, you just keep typing and you can do whatever you need. So I'm getting there. I'm not the fastest typist in the world. I think I accidentally put a C in here that I don't need. Oh no, that looks right. It's this T I don't need. There we go. And then true blue again, so that's an autocomplete. Colombia. 4 people. You'll notice it's not auto-suggesting the numbers. That's typical because number data is very special. And I forgot the R here, so I can just click where I need the R. Press tab. Two more records, we would call it, or 2 more rows. Now look, when I press D, it needed 1 more letter because the word destination also has a D. So when I put the O on, Dominican Republic, press tab. Isn't that cool? And now I'm on the last person, Amanda. An autocomplete there, an autocomplete there, and I'm done with it. So let me click here. It says to save my workbook, so I'm going to save. Remember, you could do File, Save, or click the Save button. Moving into the next portion of the book here, the next chapter, adjusting column width and row height. To create enough space to properly see your text, you may need to adjust the column width and row height. A key step is to select the desired rows or columns before adjusting the size. Column width and row height can be set precisely using the ribbon commands or adjusted manually by dragging the mouse. So you're looking for what they call adjust arrows between columns or between rows. That's the manual way to do it. Or you can use precise ways through the ribbon, home, cells, format, or even right-clicking a column letter or row number. Okay. There's things called AutoFit. If you double-click one of these, is AutoFit to the largest amount of text. There's a lot of different options here. So in a new workbook, column width is 8.43 and row height is 15. However, you might notice cells are wider than they are tall. This is because column width is measured in characters. So this 8.43 is slightly over 8 characters. It's really about 8 letters because if you consider letters like M and W are wider, that's why it's a little bit bigger than 8 but less than 9. Where the commands are found is where I just pointed out, the Home tab, Cells Group Format. There's things like column width and row height. You can right-click a column or row heading. You can also go to Home, Cells, Format, AutoFit. Okay. I'm now going to do Develop Your Skills E1D3. I'm going to skip the Save As here, and I'm going to do Step 2. Follow these steps to manually adjust the width of column A. Step 2A, move the mouse pointer over the line between column A and column B headings to display the adjust pointer. Column A and column B. Hold down the left mouse button and notice the screen tip. See how it says width of 8.43? Hold down the left mouse button and drag to the right and release the mouse button. So they don't tell you how far to go, just go wherever you feel like. So you can get the word first name to show up. See? Just widen it, whatever looks good to you for now. As you drag, the column width is displayed as it changes. You can set the column width to an exact amount this way, but it's difficult to be precise. Step 3 says widen column B until last name is visible in cell B3, or try to set the width to 10. So I point between B and C, look for the adjust arrow, drag, and try to make it read 10. That's close enough. Step 4 says widen column C slightly or try to set the width to 10. So I'm now going to point between C and D. I'm going to drag out a little bit, try to make it 10. That's pretty close. Now it says follow these steps to select columns A and C. Step 5A, point to the column A heading. Very important, you have a black down arrow. Hold down your finger and drag to letter C. That's selected all those columns. Okay. Step 6 says choose home, cells, format, column width. So that's home, cells group, format, column width. Step 7 says type 10 in the box and then click OK. So type 10, click OK. Now these are all exactly 10. Step 8 says follow these steps to auto-fit to adjust the width of column D. Okay. So first thing I would do is just click somewhere in column D to make it easier, but they're going to give you a slightly different way, I think. No, they don't have you click anywhere. Step 8A, point between column D and E headings to display the adjust arrow. So I point between D and E, and then double click is step B. It automatically goes to the largest amount of text there. It's really cool. Save your changes. Going to go into the next part of the book here. Formatting cells. You may notice that unformatted data doesn't look very pleasing. The columns are too narrow and the black and white color is plain and boring. Formatting is important to make the worksheet more appealing and more readable. So the important thing is readability. Also, the important thing in a worksheet like this is this row that says first name through number of guests, because that's what they call the header row. The header row tells you what data comes underneath it in that column. Borders and fill, we learned a little bit about that in tables when we did Microsoft Word, if you did that chapter with us. So adding some color to your worksheet can accentuate the column headings and helps the data stand out. So remember, fill is the color behind the wording. Borders are the lines of the boxes. Okay? And those commands are found from the home ribbon, font group borders, home ribbon, font group, fill color. So you can kind of make a mental note of what those icons look like. Now I'm on Develop Your Skills E4, E1/D4. But before I do that, I want to point out I have a small typo here in square A2 where I have 2 C's in the word invoices. I just want to quickly show you how you edit in case you have some in your sheet. I click the square that has the typing in the square A2. One thing the book doesn't do a great job of pointing out to you is when you click square A2, this is known as the formula bar, shows me what's typed in there. There's 2 ways I can edit that information. I can click in here where I don't need that C to put my cursor there, erase it, and then press enter. The other way is I could double click a square and it puts my cursor back in here. They mentioned it briefly, but they didn't tell you really how to do that editing if you need to. So if you see some mistakes in your sheet, you can go back and fix those on your own. It's not something you need to overly worry about now. So now I'm going to go into the book here. I'm going to skip step 1 because I don't like doing all these save as's. It says follow these steps to select the column headings in the range of A3 to D3. I'm sorry, E3. A3 to E as in Edward 3. So you point to the, A says point to the middle of square A3, hold down your mouse button. Step B says continue to hold down your mouse button and drag to E3 and let go is step C. So all that is step C. Point to square A3, hold down your mouse button or click and then hold down your mouse button and drag over to E3. Step number 3, follow these steps to explore the fill color palette. Step 3A, it says click the fill color menu button to display the palette. So that's home, make sure you're on the home tab. It's in the font group. If you're on a Mac, you don't get the group names, but it's this one with the yellow underline. You're going to click the down arrow. Be sure to click the menu. So when they say menu, you got to click an arrow. And they want you to choose blue accent 1, darker 25%. So here's blue. That's blue accent 1. I'm going to go down now, right around here, and it rest for a moment. So it's the 5th column. I think that's 5 down as well. 5th column, 5 down. Yeah, 5th column, 5th row. And I'm going to click it and apply that color. Okay. I know it's a bit dark. Don't worry, we're going to change text color eventually. Step number 4 says with the range of A3 to E3 still selected, choose Home Font Border menu button. So that's Home Font Group. Here's our border button, but they want the menu. So you got to click the arrow. Please click the arrow. Step 5 says choose thick outside borders. You don't see much of a difference because it's still highlighted. So don't worry, keep it highlighted. Step number 6, for the same range of A3 to E3, choose Home Font Font Color menu button. So that's Home Font Font Color is this A with the red underline, but you're clicking the arrow and it says choose white, which is this color right here. Freshness. Step 7 says use the keyboard shortcut Control B to apply bold. If you're on a Mac, it's Command B. Step number 8, click square A1. We're going to format it with Home Font Font Size menu button and choose 18. So Home, our font size menu button, 18. Step number 9, click square A2. Choose Home Font Increase Font Size 2 times to make it size 14. So that's Home Font Increase Font Size is this one. 1 click, 2 click, you'll see it's now 14. Step number 10, highlight A1 and A2. A1 to A2. This is where I've seen a lot of students make a mistake because they end up doing fill instead of text color. Okay. It says select the range A1 to A2 and then apply the blue accent 1 darker 50, 5th column, 6th row, font color and bold. So font color is now the A with the white underline in my home font group. I'm clicking the menu button and they said it's the 5th column and it's the 6th row, the last one down. And then they also said to apply bold. Looks beautiful, beautiful. Click anywhere outside of your data to deselect it. So it should look roughly like mine. Pretty freshness. I'm going to save my changes. Cell alignment. Excel's alignment tools let you adjust the arrangement of entries within cells. The default alignment for text data is left aligned inside the cell, and the default for numerical data is right aligned, as you can see. So all this data is right aligned, this data is left aligned, anything that's a wording, okay? There's different alignment buttons, alignment for align entries vertically at the top, middle, or bottom of cells. There are these buttons here for top, middle, bottom. And these are left, center, right. That's these second ones here. They also talk about decreasing or increasing indent. We did that in Word, but that's under Home Alignment Group. It was Paragraph Group in Word, but it's Alignment Group in Excel. Here's our decrease indent, our increase indent. They also have one to wrap text. That's what happened with Dominican Republic is it wasn't wrapping. So it went over to the next column, but then when we put data in there, it made it look like the word Republic got cut off. You can tell it to wrap to multiple lines. That's this button here called wrap text. And if your screen's wide enough, it actually says wrap text on it. And there's also one that changes the text direction. This is a fun one also, this AB here. Merge and center is a one-step method for simultaneously combining squares into one square and center aligning the text within it. It's called merge and center. Okay, we're going to do some of this in just a moment. These are all found from the Home Alignment Group. There's also something called clear formatting and clear all. Clearing means instead of deleting what's in the cells, which you can do, you can clear just the formatting and keep the data that's in the cell. So there's different, clear is different than delete. So just so you know, but if you do ever press the delete key, it's the same as clearing just what's typed in the square, but not the formatting. I'm going to go on here now to develop your skills E1, D5. I'm not going to do the save as. It says select the range of A3 to E3 and choose home alignment. A3 to E3. I did A1. A3 to E3 and choose home alignment wrap text. So home alignment wrap text. Notice how number of guests went to 2 lines. Isn't that beautiful? Step 3, with this range still highlighted, choose Home Alignment Middle. Home Alignment Middle. See how that brought that up to the center, and it looks much, much cleaner and better. With the heading still selected, step 4, choose Home Alignment Center. So that's Home Alignment Center. Step number 6 is highlight A1 to E1. I was ahead of myself before. In step 7, choose Home Alignment Merge and Center. Home Alignment Merge and Center is this one. I don't need the menu button, just Merge and Center. Step number 8 says Merge and Center the range of A2 to E2. So highlight A2 to E2, Home Alignment Merge and Center. Step number 9, highlight A4 to A13, and choose Home Alignment Increase Indent. Home Alignment Increase Indent, and then save your changes. I'm going to press forward into the next part of the chapter. Working with numbers and dates. Because Excel is often used to perform calculations, it's important to know how to enter numerical data properly. So essentially speaking, the important thing to know is if you have a number that has dollars and cents or a decimal place, you have to type it in. Excel will not put that period in there for you and make up numbers after here, or take a number that you've typed in and apply the proper formatting to it. It just doesn't work that way. There are different number formats such as general. General means if you type something that looks like this, it's going to basically look the same. If you type in this and apply comma style, it puts the comma in every thousandth. Currency style, you'll notice it looks a lot like comma style, but it has a dollar sign right next to the number. Accounting style, on the other hand, is a bit different. It puts the dollar sign away from. It's fixed on the left-hand side of the column. So quite often you'll see a big gap of white space sometimes. And percent means if you type in 0.25 and apply it as a percent, it puts in 25 and the percent symbol for you. So I mentioned the difference between currency and accounting. The number format for the current cell is visible in the number format box, so it's always showing you up here what the format is of whatever cell you're in. And be aware that numerical entries, we can now deal with decimal places, so we can increase and decrease decimal places. That's in the number group here. Decrease decimal is this one, increase decimal is this one. And they show you an example. If you type 23.64 and you put 3 decimal places, it's going to add an extra 0. If you have 23.64 and you want 2 decimal places, no change at all. 23.64, it gets rounded down to 23.6 with 1 decimal place. With no decimal places, it gets rounded up to 24. So these are all found in the number group. Negative numbers will take different looks based upon the style you're using in the square. By default, I believe they're in parentheses, if I remember correctly, by default, but I don't quite recall. Date entries. Date formatting is another kind of number formatting. After a cell has a date entered into it, you can change the display without changing the actual entry. Excel can also use dates to perform calculations. A date can be entered in many ways, though it's best to enter it in the format of month, meaning put the 0 in front of it, and D for day for the current year, or month, day, year for any other year. For example, 10/15 would be entered for October 15 of the current year. 10/15/18 would be entered for October 15th of 2018. I'm going to start doing the Develop Your Skills E1 D6, so we're rolling right along. I'm going to skip the Save As here. Save your workbook as. Don't need to do it. Step 2, click cell F3 and enter the heading Price per person. And press Tab. Step 3 says type invoice date. In cell G3, and I'm going to press Enter. Step number 4 says highlight F3 in G3 and apply thick outside borders. As a reminder, that's Home. Here's my border button. Because it remembers the previous border I chose, I can just click this and get my thick border. If you're not sure, click the menu button and choose thick outside border. Can't lose either way. If you go to the menu, okay? Now it says in cell F4, so I'm going to click F4, type 899. Whoops. F4, I never clicked it, and then press Tab. So that puts me in G4. It says type 9/8, and then click the check mark. They want you to understand that it automatically formatted it as a date for you. If you look here, it says 8-sept, but up here in the formula bar, it shows the 9/8 you typed in. So the digits 9/8 are automatically converted to display 8. And the home number format box, you can see the number format for cell G4 is changed to custom format. It says continuing entering the data in columns F and G is shown starting in F5. So you can do this a number of ways. You can type it down, or you could type it with tab and go over. It's really going to be up to you. I'm going to do the tab key method. So I tab, and then I need 9/1. Now I would do enter. Then I'm going to do 12. So I'm just doing my typing here. It's tough not to get your eyes wandering. Okay, I'm getting close here. I'm still doing a little bit of typing here. A few more rows. And if for those who didn't know, there's actually a typing speed you can use from the keypad. It's called strokes per minute. It's very common that people in accounting type fields and such like that tend to have a really high strokes per minute speed using the keypad because they're on it a lot. So I've typed in all that extra data. That now puts me on step number 8. Select or highlight the range of F4 to F13. Step 9, choose Home Number Accounting, not the menu button. So that's Home Number, just click this $sign over here. Okay. With the range of F4 to F13 still selected, choose Home Number Decrease Decimal twice. Home Number Group Decrease Decimal should be this one. Click it once, 1 0 went away, click it again, no more zeros. Notice how the $sign is fixed way over here on the left side of the column. That's the difference between accounting format and currency format. So this $sign is automatically set up for accounting. I'm going to save my changes and move into the next portion of the chapter. Entering a series using AutoFill. When entering data in a worksheet, it's common to enter a series of data, which is a sequence of text, numbers, or dates. For example, you can enter a series of weekdays from Monday to Friday, a series of months from January to December, a series of numbers from 1 to 100, or a series of dates in the next 2 weeks. Rather than type each line one by one or line by line, you only need to enter the first cell and then use AutoFill. AutoFill, a feature that extends series, copies data, or copies a formula into adjacent cells. To use AutoFill, you can drag the fill handle or double click it if there's adjacent data. So here's Monday. They pointed to the fill handle, bottom right corner. The plus changed to a thin black plus. They started to drag down. They got Tuesday. You're going to get a chance to try this in just a moment. Depending on the type of information in the selected cell or cells, the fill handle performs the actions such as copying, creating a series, or filling in a list. These figures show you examples of each. So I'm going to let you read that more on your own. But you can see Monday, Wednesday, March. Monday went down to Monday through Saturday. Wednesday went down, March, April, May. Invoice 200, counted down. First day, counted down. You can also use the fill handle across, just so you know. Okay. So this went Monday, Wednesday, January, April. So they skipped a few months. Here's the results. Okay. So after you use AutoFill, the AutoFill options button appears, which gives you options for copy cells, fill the series, fill without the formatting, with the formatting, a whole bunch of odd choices that you'll get a chance to experiment with at some point. I'm going to do develop your skills E1D7. As usual, I'm going to skip the save as. It says type the column heading invoice number and square H3. So I'm going to go to H3. I'm going to type invoice number. And it says to press enter. In cell H4, type number symbol 3982 and click the check mark on that formula bar. That makes H4 remain active. Follow these steps to use AutoFill to fill to enter the rest of the invoice numbers. Step 4A, in the active cell, place the mouse pointer on the fill handle, the bottom right corner. See it changes to a thin black plus. Drag down now to H13. They all counted up by 1. Freshness. Isn't that really cool? Save your changes. That's the fill handle. Printing worksheets. We're almost done. Wow, this chapter goes quick. Printing worksheets. Now that you've entered all the required information into this worksheet, you may want to print your data. Although printing is becoming less common in the digital age, there'll be certainly times when you need to print a paper copy. Printing a worksheet is simple, although sometimes adjustments need to be made so that cells, columns, and rows fit nicely on the page. To adjust the way your worksheet prints, you can use the Scale to Fit feature. The Scale to Fit can be found in a couple of areas, actually. It could be found from File Print. It could also be found from the Page Layout tab, which they're showing you here is from the Page Layout tab, and they mention it here. Because your workbook can contain multiple worksheets, there are 3 options for printing in Backstage View. You can choose to print just the active sheet, the entire workbook, or whatever you highlight. These can be found from File, Print, and Settings, or Page Layout, Scale to Fit, and Page Layout Sheet options. So I'm now going to do Develop Your Skills E1D8. I'm going to give you a small not necessarily warning, but anybody who's using a Macintosh, you don't really get Backstage View, and some of your print options are a little bit different, but you'll just kind of have to see what's there. That's about all I can kind of mention to you, at least at the moment, without doing this on a Macintosh version of Word. So we're going to do a couple of things before we get to the print part. It says highlight A3 to H3. So A3 over to H3. Choose Home, Font, Border menu button. So Home, Font, Border menu button, no border. We had to take the borders off because we had some odd borders by adding those extra columns. Step 3, with the range of A3 to H3 still selected, choose Home, Font, Border menu button and go back and choose Thick Outside Borders. In row 1, highlight A1 to H1 and choose Home, Alignment, Merge, and Center twice. So Home, Alignment, I'm going to click Merge and Center once. It's unmerged. I click again, it's merged again. Okay, that's what they're describing here. The first one unmerged it, the second click remerged it. You don't normally double click it. Step 5, select A2 to H2. And once again, Home, Alignment, Merge, and Center twice. Home, Alignment, Merge, and Center once, and then again. Okay, see, they're not saying double click, they're just saying to do it twice. I'm sorry, I accidentally scrolled the wrong screen. Change print options. Choose File Print to access Print Preview. So File Print. I'm going to slide this out of the way over here. You'll notice down here shows you the number of pages. I only have 1 page. You'll notice it's fitting on here relatively well, but that's okay. Step number 7 says click the back button to return to your worksheet. That's this button in the upper left. Step number 8, highlight the range of A1 to H8. A1 to H8. Then choose File Print to access Print Preview again. So File, Print, sorry, passed it. And step number 9, in the Settings section, so that's right here under Settings, where it says Print Active Sheets, click there and choose Print Selection. Notice how it cut off the extra people? Because we highlighted, we can print just what we highlighted. Magic. Step number 10 says in the Settings section, change from Portrait Orientation to Landscape. So here where it says Portrait, click there and choose Landscape. Your paper is now sideways instead. A lot of Excel sheets tend to be more sideways than they are portrait, more landscape. It says Save the Workbook. So mine always says Save a Copy because I'm in a special version where it saves automatically. So you can just do Save while you're in here, or you can click the Save button. And then I'm going to proceed forward. Playing a little bit with Zoom tools now. Let me move my picture back over here, even though it's close to the Zoom tools. You may want to adjust the view to focus on one area of your worksheet, or you may want to get a broad view of the entire worksheet. The Zoom tools allow you to increase or decrease the magnification of your worksheet so you can see more or less of a worksheet at a time. Changing the view does not change how the worksheet will print. Okay? So one thing I should warn you also about what just happened when we printed If I go back to File Print, notice this still stays on Print Selection. So don't get yourself too caught up if you're like, whoa, where's the rest of my data? Remember to look over here and switch it back to Print Active Sheet. Active Sheet. Then all your data will be there to print. They didn't remind you to possibly do that. And a lot of people I've seen panic. They go to print, they say, all my data won't show up for some reason. Okay. So we're going to try some zoom and different ways to view the screen type steps. Step number 2, we're skipping step 1. We don't need to do the save as. Step 2 says select the customer invoice data in A1 to H13. So A1 to H13. Step 3, choose view, so a different tab, zoom group right here, zoom to selection. It makes it the largest possible and fit your screen, however wide your screen is. Step 4, choose view, zoom 100%. So view, zoom group 100%. Step 5, choose view, zoom, zoom. View, zoom, zoom. It says in the zoom dialog box, choose custom. So click custom and you can type any value you want in here. I'm going to type 120. Click OK because that's what the book says. Step 6, type 120. Click OK. Another option for quickly adjusting zoom level is to use the zoom slider. So step 7 says on the zoom slider, click the zoom out to reduce the magnification. So zoom out is the minus, zoom in is the plus. You can also drag the slider. Be careful, the slider drags real quick. The book says to go down to 110%. I click it one time, it says 110. Okay, I'm actually going to save my changes. And I'm going to move forward in the book here to the next part. Other navigation methods. Now that we're done with zoom, just to make things easier for you, I just want to make sure it doesn't matter if we zoom or not. I'm going to zoom back up so you can see my material a little bit easier. That's pretty good. I'm going to click on my sheet there. Okay, so other navigation methods. Navigating a worksheet is simple using the mouse, scroll bar, and keyboard keys. However, as your workbook becomes larger and more complex, you may want other faster methods to find information. There's a find feature. If you're looking for a specific text or value, you can use the find feature. Find searches within the worksheet to find the text or number provided, and the results show the exact cell location. They're showing you an example here. We get to the find command. So in this particular one, they were looking for the name Karen. Karen is appearing in cell B23 and B28 on sheet 1 of this workbook. Okay. It's found from the Home Editing Find and Select group. Once again, I'm now doing Develop Your Skills E1D10. I'm going to skip step 1. Step number 2 says choose Home Editing Find and select Find. So I have to click the Home tab, Editing Group, Find and select, Find. Step number 3 says type David. In the Find What box, I can move this up if I need to, and then click Find All. So David appears in this sheet on sheet 1 in cell A12. That's the only occurrence of David in this whole sheet. Okay. There is an option here to make it search the whole workbook. Besides the word within, select sheet to expand the options and choose workbook. So you click the word options and within here, click there and choose workbook. Click find all. Once again, it's the same answer. The result still shows just one cell found with David's name since there are no other sheets in the workbook. But they want to show you that exists. That's very handy, very useful. Step number 7, to start a new search, type Sunwind in the Find What box. So I can go into the Find What box here, type Sunwind, and then click Find All according to step 7. Now there's many occurrences here, see? I can scroll them. And here's the magic part. You're going to love this. This is freshness. It says scroll to the bottom of the results and click the last one. So if I scroll down here, there's one in C13. I click it. It made my active cell C13. Isn't that really cool? That's a neat way to get to a square that has the data you want. You find it. When it's in the list, you just click it. Boom, you're there. Freshness. So I'm going to close this find and replace box, step 9. I'm going to save my changes, step 10. We're now the go-to or the name box. You're going to learn how to use the name box to name ranges and cells later. It's really handy in formulas and all that kind of stuff. But you can, you can use what's called the go-to command or the name box to jump to a particular square. Okay. So I'm going to do develop your skills E1D11. Once again, I'm skipping step 1 because it's a save as step. Step number 2 says choose home, editing, find and select. Make sure I'm on home, editing, find and select, go to. In the go to box, type A4. This is step 3 and click OK. It moved me to A4. Isn't that cool? You would have to know what's in that cell ahead of time. That's the only drawback. That's why the find is really cool. Step 4, choose home, editing, find and select, go to again. So home, editing, find and select, go to again. Step number 5, this time below reference type AS700. As you can, and then press enter or click OK. We're in column AS, row 700. The book didn't really tell you, but there's millions of rows in a sheet, and there's basically infinite number of columns. So sheets can be really huge. And what's weird about a sheet, you're in this arbitrary area where there's no data. Okay, so that's okay. They just wanted you to go here so that in step 7, it says click the cell. Step 6, choose home, editing, find and select, go to once more. So that's home, editing group, find and select, go to. And it says click the cell reference A4. See, it remembers the previous reference A4 and click OK. It brings me back to A4. What I prefer the book could have done is also had you practice the go-to box here, the name box. You could click here. You could type A1, press enter. Now you're back to A1. Also, as a reminder, if you click any other square, they told you earlier in the chapter, if you do control home, it always gets you to A1. Control home. Okay. So it says save your work and close Excel. So that's basically the end of this chapter. I'm going to exit out Excel here. As a reminder of how our office book works, if you've done the word chapters with us, if you click this down arrow, the next part of the book is a little quiz. But if you click the next arrow, it gets you to the review exercises. There's reinforce your skills exercises. There's 3 of them. We'd like you to do all 3. You can submit them through Canvas. If not, that's okay too, but just try to do them. And if you get down to the end of the reinforce your skills and click the arrow to the next part of the book, we also like you to do the 3 apply your skills exercises. Those are really your practice time, your review work, and you'll get a good opportunity to really practice the skills that were in this chapter and show me that you know them, and I can help where you get stuck. So I hope this tutorial will really help you with the develop your skills exercises we did together, or if you missed class, you'll get an opportunity to see how it was done. Take care. See you soon.